For 47 years, one country has kidnapped Americans, funded attacks that killed thousands, and never paid a single dollar for it. Now, the President of the United States is doing something almost no one expected. He's not sending troops, he's sending an invoice. And according to the people who study this regime for a living, Iran may be too broke to say no. In this video, you're going to see exactly how a 50-year grudge turned into a financial demand, why Iran's economy is quietly collapsing behind the headlines, and why one analyst says this regime is in its weakest position since 1979.
But here's the part almost nobody's talking about. This isn't the first time a president tried to pressure Iran. It's the first time one might actually be in a position to win. The bill nobody expected. Most diplomacy with a hostile regime looks the same. Sanctions, threats, maybe a strike. What President Trump proposed is different. He wants Iran to pay compensation, not just for one incident, but for 5 decades of damage. That includes the 1987 attack on the USS Stark. American service members wounded or killed by Iranian-backed forces over the years.
And according to Trump, tens of thousands of Iranian protesters killed by their own government in the last few months alone. It's a simple pitch with a sharp edge. If there's a bill to be paid, Iran should be the one paying it. But why would a regime that's ignored consequences for half a century suddenly listen now? That's where it gets interesting. The weakest they've ever been administration except this one tried the same move. Offer Iran sanctions relief, hope for goodwill, hope for a deal. It never worked, because the regime was never actually desperate. Now, he argues, that's changed, and the numbers back it up. 12 million barrels of oil a day. That's the money that keeps the regime running. By May, that number had crashed to around 65,000 barrels a day, a fraction of what it once was. Yes, China has reportedly kept some oil moving through side channels, but that's a trickle compared to the flood the regime used to rely on. And oil isn't the only thing running dry. Sanctions. Both cards are gone, or close to it. The nuclear program, the thing Iran used to hold over the international community, has been set back. And the UAE, once a key bypass route for sanctioned Iranian trade, reportedly received more Iranian missiles and drones fired at it than Israel did. That relationship isn't exactly open for business anymore. Cut off from the money, cut off from the leverage, cut off from the routes out. That's the corner the analyst says Iran's regime has been backed into. Why the regime might not blink anyway. Here's the twist that makes this more than a simple pressure work story. And Israel.
That promise didn't happen, which means the regime isn't just cornered financially. It's cornered politically, with a base that expected a win it didn't get. And a regime with nothing left to lose doesn't always negotiate the way economics textbooks predict. That's the real question hanging over all of this. So here's where it stands. An economy in free fall, a regime more isolated than at any point since 1979, and a president betting that money, not missiles, might finally force a reckoning 50 years in the making. It's a compelling theory, but it comes from one side of the table.
Iran's government has its own account of this standoff, and other analysts are far less convinced that economic pain changes how this regime behaves. After all, it survived worse pressure before. So I'll leave it with you. Do you think a regime this cornered chooses to negotiate, or does it double down?